Your life moves in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. If your thoughts are fixed on what you don't have, what you can't do, or what might go wrong, then guess what? Your life will start reflecting exactly that. The rich get richer not because they have more money, but because they have more clarity, more purpose, and more intentional thoughts that align with action. Most people don't have a money problem, they have a thinking problem. They try to change their circumstances, but they never upgrade the philosophy that created those circumstances in the first place. That's like planting apple seeds and expecting oranges. If you want different fruit, you need to change the root. So let me ask you, what kind of soil have you been planting your life in? Are you feeding your mind with scarcity or with strategy? With excuses or with empowerment? Because while the rich keep designing their future with purpose, the average person is stuck defending their past with stories. Tonight I want to take you on a journey not of wealth as measured by numbers, but of the mental framework that produces it. Because if you can change your philosophy, you can change your income, change your mindset, and you won't just stop being broke, you'll start becoming everything you were designed to be. Let me tell you something. I learned early in life the comfort zone is where dreams go to sleep. It's cozy, it's predictable, and it feels safe, but it's also a trap. A trap disguised as peace. You see, the mind that clings too tightly to the familiar, that seeks ease over expansion, ends up settling for far less than it's capable of achieving. And when you settle, you stall. And when you stall, you shrink. Most people remain broke not because they lack opportunity, but because they resist the discomfort that opportunity demands. Growth and wealthies don't live next door to comfort. They live on the edge. They live where you feel uncertain, stretched, maybe even a little scared. But that's the price of admission. That's the ticket you have to punch. I remember when I first started on my journey toward wealth. I was working hard, staying within what I thought was reasonable. I paid my bills, kept my head down, and waited for things to get better. But better never came because I wasn't getting better. I was just getting older. I had to face the uncomfortable truth. My comfort zone was killing my ambition. So, I decided to disrupt my own life. I read new books, I asked different questions, I sought out people who thought bigger than me. I even began taking risks, small ones at first, then bigger ones as I built my confidence. And guess what? Every breakthrough came wrapped in discomfort. Every milestone was preceded by a moment of doubt or fear. But I moved forward anyway, and that's what made the difference. The comfort zone whispers, just stay where you are, it's fine here. But let me ask you, how long will fine be enough for you? If you want to build real wealth, you've got to be willing to trade comfort for possibility. That means trying new things, hearing new ideas, and doing what others aren't willing to do. So, step out, stretch, get a little uncomfortable. That's where transformation begins. That's where the seeds of wealth are planted. Because what feels uncomfortable today will feel like a breakthrough tomorrow. Let's talk about one of the great invisible forces that separates those who build wealth from those who remain enlackened. That's the ability to delay gratification. You see, in a world screaming now, 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 the wealthy whisper, later for greater. Because delayed gratification is the currency of the wealthy. It's what builds the bridges between vision and reality, between where you are and where you dream to be. We're all tempted by the quick reward, the new gadget, the impulse buy, the vacation we haven't earned yet. And let's be honest, it feels good for a moment. But the problem is, those momentary pleasures often come at the cost of long-term gain. That daily $7 coffee, the latest phone upgrade, the endless subscription services, these aren't just expenses. They're habits. And habits build your future, one small decision at a time. When I was broke, I didn't just lack money, I lacked a wealth mindset. I wanted the lifestyle before I'd built the discipline. I spent before I invested, I celebrated before I produced. And I stayed stuck because I didn't understand a simple truth. Success doesn't come to those who consume first, it comes to those who build first. I had to retrain my thinking. I had to stop living for Friday night and start living for the future I actually wanted. The wealthy understand this. They sacrifice today's dopamine for tomorrow's dividends. They skip some pleasures not because they can't afford them, but because they know how compound interest works, not just in money, but in life. $1 invested today can be 10 tomorrow. An hour of learning today can become a lifetime of leverage. A month of discipline now can mean decades of freedom later, but it starts with the decision to want something more than just comfort today. The truth is, if you can't delay gratification, you'll always be a servant to your desires. But if you master the art of waiting, of investing time and energy into what truly matters, you move from being reactive to being strategic. And that's where wealth lives in strategy, not impulse. So ask yourself, are you feeding your future or just feeding your feelings? Because every act of delayed gratification is a vote for the person you want to become. The rich get richer not just by what they do, but by what they're willing to wait for. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and I'll tell you, that's not just a catchy phrase, that's a financial truth. Your associations influence everything, your habits, your thinking, your expectations of life, and yes, your bank account. If you walk with people who complain more than they plan, who spend more than they invest, who dream small and fear big, you'll start to think that's normal. And when you think it's normal, you start to live it. Years ago, I found myself surrounded by good people, but not growth people. Kind folks, loyal even, but they didn't challenge me, didn't push me, didn't expect more of me than I already was. And because of that, I plateaued. I had to come to a hard realization. Loyalty to mediocrity won't build wealth. It'll keep you liked, but it won't get you free. The wealthy understand this principle. They choose their circle carefully, intentionally. They look for minds sharper than theirs, spirit stronger than theirs, ambition deeper than theirs. Not for ego, but for exposure. Because success is contagious. If you sit at a table where people are discussing ideas, investments, impact not gossip, or grievances, you start to think differently. You ask better questions. You make bolder moves. Your mind expands to fit the level of conversation around you. And here's the truth. If you're always the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. That's not an insult. It's a reminder. Growth requires tension. It requires you to be a little uncomfortable, a little stretched, a little challenged. When I started spending time with people who were ahead of me financially, mentally, spiritually, I felt out of place. But I stayed, and I listened, and I learned. And little by little, I rose to the level of my environment. If you're serious about changing your financial life, look at who's influencing it. Are they growing? Are they pushing? Are they striving for more? If not, it's not judgment, it's strategy. Shift your circle, and you shift your ceiling. Because here's what I found. Money doesn't just follow effort. It follows alignment. And when you align with people who think big, talk growth, and move with purpose, your bank account starts catching up to your mindset. Choose your associations like your future depends on it, because it does. It's a powerful moment in life when you look in the mirror and say, I am exactly where I am, financially, emotionally, and spiritually, because of the choices I've made. That moment is not about guilt. It's about power. You see, the mindset that keeps people broke is the one that constantly finds an outside reason for an inside result. It's the economy, it's the company, it's the government, it's bad luck, it's their upbringing. But I'll tell you this, the moment you hand away responsibility, you also hand away your ability to change. Now, responsibility isn't always easy. I remember a time when I was working a job and not making what I wanted. I used to say, they don't pay me enough. But then I asked myself, who agreed to take this job? I did. So if I wanted more, it wasn't up to theme. It was up to me. That shift changed everything. I stopped waiting for a raise and started raising my value. I stopped blaming the system and started building skills. I stopped focusing on what I couldn't control and put all my energy into what I could. That's the difference between wealth and struggle. It's not always resources, it's resourcefulness. Wealthy people say, if it is to be, it's up to me. They look at their results and don't flinch. They don't get defensive, they get determined. They say, okay, this is where I am. Now what do I need to learn, change, or improve to move forward? That attitude alone is worth a fortune. You've got to get to the point where your financial condition is no longer a mystery, no longer a debate, it's feedback. And once you treat it like feedback, you become a student of your own life. You study your habits, your decisions, your attitudes. You don't complain about the weather. You build a better roof. You don't hope for someone to come rescue you. You become your own rescue team. Now, I'm not saying everything is your fault. Life throws curveballs, yes. But even in that, you get to choose how you respond. You either become a victim of circumstance or a steward of your destiny. And wealth, my friend, follows stewardship. It follows those who say, no more excuses, no more blame, just action. Because when you accept responsibility, you reclaim your power. And when you reclaim your power, the path to wealth opens wide. I've always said if someone hands you $1 million, best you become a millionaire quickly. Why? Because without the mindset, the education, and the personal development to match it, that money won't stay. That's why we see lottery winners go broke. It's not the money they lacked, it was the capacity to manage and multiply it. You see, income will only grow to the extent that you do. And that's a hard truth most people miss. Most folks are out there chasing dollars, not understanding that the true wealth isn't in what you earn, it's in what you become. The rich understand this. They don't just ask, how much can I make this year? They ask, how much more valuable can I become? That's why personal development isn't optional for themits oxygen. They read, they learn, they attend seminars, they seek mentors. They study success the way a doctor studies medicine because their future depends on it. Now, let me tell you about a young man I once met at a seminar. He came up to me and said, I don't know how to get ahead. I work 12 hours a day. And I asked him, when was the last time you invested in your own learning? He looked at me puzzled. You see, he had the work ethic, but not the education. He was climbing the ladder fast, but it was leaning against the wrong wall. I told him, you've got to sharpen your axe if you want to cut faster. He took that to heart. A year later, he came back, not just with more income, but with more confidence, more clarity, and a whole new direction. Education gives you options. It gives you foresight. It helps you see opportunities where others see risk. It allows you to step into rooms and hold conversations that open doors. And not just formal education, though. That can help, but the kind that feeds your mind, your spirit, and your skill set. Wealthy people read books, not just balance sheets. They study human behavior, business models, investing, leadership. Why? Because they know the real asset isn't their bank account, it's their mindset. And every book they read, every lesson they apply, becomes part of the compound interest that grows their fortune. So while the world is busy chasing paychecks, those who understand real wealth chase growth. Because if you want to make more, you've got to become more. And if you're willing to grow beyond your current self, there's no limit to the life you can create. Most people don't fail because they aim too high and miss. They fail because they aim too low and hit. That's the tragedy. You see, wealth begins in the mind long before it shows up in the bank. The wealthy think in terms of vision, of expansion, of potential. They build a blueprint before they ever start laying bricks. Meanwhile, the broke often live in the fog, hoping things will get better without ever defining what better even looks like. I remember early in my journey, I asked a man I admired greatly, what's the key to building wealth? He looked me square in the eye and said, have a clear picture of where you're going and never take your eyes off it. That advice changed everything. Up to that point, I was living reactively, putting out fires, hoping for a raise, thinking that working harder alone would take me where I wanted to go. But the truth is, Effort without direction is wasted motion. So I sat down with a pen and paper and wrote out exactly what I wanted. Not just make more money or be successful. No, I wrote it in detail. How much I wanted to earn, by when, what kind of lifestyle I wanted to build, the kind of person I needed to become to deserve that life. That clarity lit a fire under me. It turned vague wishes into precise targets. And with the target in sight, I could finally aim. The wealthy think this way all the time. They don't leave their financial future to chance. They decide it, they measure their progress, they break down their goals into steps and timelines, and they stay committed when things get hard, not because they're lucky, but because their vision is stronger than their excuses. Thinking big doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you stop letting your current circumstances limit your future vision. I've seen folks who never earned more than minimum wage go on to build businesses, invest wisely, and live a life they never thought possible because they dared to think beyond survival and set a goal worth fighting for. Now, the opposite is also true. Without a clear goal, the mind drifts. Days turn into weeks and weeks into years. Before you know it, you're in the same place or worse, wondering why nothing has changed. And the answer is simple. You never defined what change looked like. So if you want to stop spinning your wheels and start building momentum, get clear. Write your goals in ink, not pencil. Define them. Commit to them. Let them pull you forward. Because without a target, success is just a word. But with one, it becomes a destination. Failure. That one word has crippled more dreams than any amount of bad luck or poor timing ever could. But let me tell you something I learned early on. Fear of failure doesn't protect you from pain. It only guarantees regret. You see, most people are not broke because they're not smart or talented. They're broke because they let fear make decisions for them. And fear, left unchallenged, becomes a permanent mindset that locks you into a life of hesitation, inaction, and ultimately scarcity. I remember when I first thought about speaking in front of a crowd, I was terrified. I thought, what if I stumble? What if they laugh? What if I fail? But then I realized those questions were keeping me broke. Not just financially, but mentally. I had to flip the script. I had to ask, what if I succeed? What if this moment opens a new door? What if this is the very step I need to take to change everything? And when I finally stood on that stage and nervous, imperfect, unsure, I didn't fail. I grew, I learned, and eventually I thrived. The wealthy don't avoid failure, they befriend it. They look it in the eye and say, teach me something. Because here's the truth, success isn't built on perfection, it's built on adjustment, trial, error, correction, and repetition. Every wealthy person I've ever met has a resume filled with failures. The difference is they didn't let those failures become their identity, they let them become their instructors. On the other hand, those who stay stuck financially often treat failure like a full stop. They try one thing, it doesn't go as planned, and that's it, they retreat. They start saying things like, I guess this isn't for me, or I knew it wouldn't work. That mindset isn't protecting them, it's imprisoning them. And every time they choose safety over growth, they lose an opportunity to level up, to get wiser, to get wealthier. One of the greatest shifts you can make is to stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what can I learn if I do? Because fear doesn't disappear with success. It just gets quieter as your courage grows louder. And the only way your courage grows is by putting it to work. So if you've been sitting on a dream waiting until it's safe to act, let this be your sign. Get uncomfortable. Try. Fail forward. Learn fast. Because fear is a liar, and success doesn't come to those who avoid failure, it comes to those who outgrow it. There's a fundamental truth that often goes unnoticed. Money follows value. It doesn't follow need. It doesn't follow desperation, and it doesn't even follow time spent. It follows value. And the moment you shift your mindset from, how can I get more, to, how can I give more, that's when wealth starts to chase you instead of you chasing it. I learned this early in life. In my younger days, I was working hard. But I wasn't getting ahead. I thought if I just put in more hours, if I just worked harder, things would turn around. But I was missing the secret ingredient. Then one day, someone asked me, quote, "What value are you bringing to the table?" That question hit me like a ton of bricks. Because up to that point, I was working for money instead of working to become someone valuable. I realized I wasn't broke because I lacked time or effort. I was broke because I lacked the mindset to add real value. You see, the marketplace doesn't reward activity, it rewards contribution. That's why some people earn minimum wage while others earn millions. It's not about the number of hours. It's about what happens during those hours. What problems are you solving? What needs are you meeting? What dreams are you helping others reach? The more people you help in meaningful ways, the richer you become financially, relationally, spiritually. Think about every wealthy person you admire. They all have something in common. They've created something others find valuable. Maybe it's a product, a service, an idea, or even inspiration. They ask themselves, what can I create that makes someone else's life better? And then they go out and do just that. And because of it, value flows back to them in the form of income, influence, and opportunity. Now contrast that with the poverty mindset. The broke mindset is focused on taking, what can I get for free? How can I get paid for doing the least? Why aren't others giving me more? That mindset doesn't just repel wealth, it ensures struggle. Because the world doesn't owe you anything, but it will generously reward you for what you give it. So, if you want to change your financial life, start by changing your question. Don't ask, how can I get more money? Ask, how can I become more valuable to more people? Learn more, grow more, serve more, because the most certain path to wealth is not in chasing money, it's in becoming someone money wants to find. We often hear people say, I'm waiting for my big break, or if only luck would come my way. But the truth is, luck favors those who show up consistently. Wealth is not the product of one big event or sudden windfall. It's the result of steady, disciplined effort day in and day out. You see, the rich don't stumble onto success. They build it brick by brick through habits that become second nature. From my own life, I've seen this principle play out time and time again. I wasn't born into wealth or extraordinary opportunity. What I had was a daily commitment to learn, save, and invest a little bit at a time. It might have been just a few dollars saved here or a lesson learned there, but those small, consistent actions added up over months and years. Like planting seeds in a garden, each act of discipline nurtures growth even when you don't see immediate results. One-time efforts, big wins, or random strokes of fortune don't produce sustainable wealth. They are like lightning strikes bright, but short-lived. The poor mindset hopes for these sudden bursts of fortune, but when they don't come, frustration and defeat set in. The wealthy mindset understands that lasting success comes from showing up even when motivation wanes or progress seems slow. Consistency is what shapes character and molds your future. It's saving a portion of your income regularly, learning from books or mentors day after day, investing in your skills and knowledge persistently. It's not glamorous, but it is powerful. When you develop this discipline, you start creating momentum that carries you forward through challenges, setbacks, and distractions. Consider how the tide slowly carves canyons out of solid rock. It doesn't happen overnight. It's the relentless, patient force of consistent effort that shapes the landscape of your financial life. If you want to be wealthy, don't wait for extraordinary chances. Make ordinary actions extraordinary by doing them faithfully. The wealthy aren't the lucky ones, they're the consistent ones. And that, my friend, is the real currency of lasting success. Change is the great equalizer in life and in wealth. It doesn't ask your permission, it doesn't wait for your comfort, and it certainly doesn't pause for your hesitation. Those who prosper understand this truth deeply. Change is not the enemy, it's the gateway to opportunity. When you embrace change, you open the door to new ventures, new ideas, and new profits. To resist it, on the other hand, is to build walls around your potential and lock yourself inside a cage of outdated thinking. I recall times early in my journey when the familiar felt safe and comfortable. It was tempting to stay put, to keep doing what I had always done, hoping success would come knocking. But success doesn't live in the past. It lives in the new, the unknown, the uncomfortable. It lives on the other side of change. Each time I chose to welcome change, whether it was learning a new skill, adopting a new mindset, or seizing a new opportunity, my financial life grew richer and my horizons expanded. The rich understand that the economy changes, technology evolves, and markets shift and they don't resist. Instead, they adapt swiftly. They see change as a chance to innovate, to improve, and to move ahead of the crowd. Fear of risk and uncertainty is what keeps many trapped in financial struggle. The poor mindset clings to what's known, afraid to lose what little they have. But that fear is a silent thief, robbing you of the chance to grow and thrive. Imagine a river that refuses to change course when faced with an obstacle. It will stagnate, dry up, or flood out of control. But a river that flows and adapts carves new paths, nourishes new lands, and sustains life. Your financial life is no different. The willingness to embrace change keeps you moving forward, creating new streams of income, new investments, and new opportunities for wealth. If you want to rise financially, you must develop a mindset that welcomes change as a constant companion. Not every change will be easy or comfortable, but every change has the potential to lead you to something better. The choice is you'll stay stuck in the past or move boldly into the future. The rich choose to flow with change, and that is why they keep getting richer. The journey to financial freedom begins far inside the mind, in the quiet story you tell yourself about who you are with money. If you constantly see yourself as broke, unlucky, or not good with money, you are planting seeds of limitation that will grow into the reality you fear. This is not some vague idea. It is a powerful law of life. Your identity shapes your destiny. When you carry a money identity rooted in scarcity and struggle, you act accordingly, often unconsciously sabotaging opportunities and making decisions that keep you trapped in financial hardship. I've witnessed countless people trapped by this invisible barrier, people with immense potential, yet they never move beyond the mindset that they are just not meant to be wealthy. This mindset becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. On the other hand, those who cultivate an identity of abundance and capability approach money with confidence and clarity. They see money as a tool, a resource, and an opportunity. They don't just dream of wealth. They own it mentally before it even appears in their bank accounts. I remember a moment early in my own life when I shifted from seeing myself as a man struggling to make ends meet to someone who was capable of managing and growing money. This change was not instant or magical. It was the result of intentional work on my thoughts and beliefs. I began to speak differently about money, no longer as a source of worry, but as a source of freedom and possibility. This shift influenced every financial choice I made, from saving to investing, and it created a momentum that lifted me out of scarcity. Your money identity is a script written deep inside you. If you want to change your financial life, start by rewriting that script. Speak to yourself with words of abundance. Visualize yourself as financially savvy, responsible, and worthy of wealth. When you own this new identity, your actions will naturally align with it, and financial freedom will become not just a dream, but an inevitable outcome. Remember, wealth is as much a mindset as it is a bank balance. Change your identity, and you change your financial future.